Imagine a night where the temperature drops far below freezing, wind screams outside your cave, and the snow piles so high you can't see the horizon. No blankets, no heating, no soft mattresses, just raw stone, ice, and the biting cold. Yet, long ago, cavemen and cavewomen didn't just survive these deadly winters. They slept warm, rested deeply, and woke ready to face the harsh world outside. How did they do it? What secret strategies allowed them to conquer the cold when modern humans would shiver through the night? Tonight, we uncover the survival hacks of our prehistoric ancestors, revealing a world where fire, furs, caves, and human ingenuity combine to create the ultimate winter fortress. Picture this: you step outside, and the wind slices through every layer of clothing you have. Snow drifts in uneven piles, ice coats the rocks, and darkness falls faster than your eyes can adjust. For modern humans, this is a nightmare. But for our prehistoric ancestors, the cave was nothing short of a life-saving fortress. Caves weren't just random holes in the rock. They were carefully chosen shelters, naturally insulating against the brutal cold. The thick stone walls absorbed heat from the brief sunlight during the day, slowly radiating it back into the interior as temperatures plummeted. Even a few degrees warmer inside a cave could mean the difference between survival and a frozen death outside. Unlike the open tundra, a cave offered protection not only from the cold but also from harsh winds, predators, and unexpected storms. Early humans instinctively understood the importance of location within the cave. They rarely slept at the entrance, where icy drafts could creep in. Instead, they settled deeper inside, where the air was more stable and slightly warmer. Yet, they didn't push too far into the darkness. Ventilation was crucial to prevent suffocating smoke if a fire was lit or to avoid stagnant air. These choices weren't random. They were honed over countless generations, passed down through observation and trial and error. Welcome to Before Flame. Fire. If you enjoyed traveling back in time with me, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you never miss the next journey into our ancient past. Now I'd love to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now? It'll make me so happy to see our community connecting from all around the world. And most importantly, if this video make you just imagine the Stone Age, or actually feel what it was like to live as a caveman or cavewoman, share your thoughts below. I'm excited to read them all. Caves also offered flexibility. Some prehistoric families had permanent dwellings in rock formations, while nomadic groups sought temporary shelters in shallow caves or overhangs. The common factor: every choice was about maximizing survival while minimizing exposure to the lethal winter. What we see here is the first layer of the caveman's winter strategy. Natural architecture turned into a thermal sanctuary. Once our ancestors had secured the safest part of the cave, the next challenge was creating a sleeping surface that would keep them off the cold, hard stone. A simple layer of grass or moss could make a huge difference. These natural materials trapped air, forming a basic insulation barrier between the body and the frozen rock floor. Archaeological evidence shows that early humans were deliberate in choosing bedding materials, selecting grasses, leaves, and moss that were dry, soft, and abundant in their environment. But insulation alone wasn't enough. Cavemen quickly learned the value of layering. First came the soft bedding of plants, followed by thick animal furs, hides from mammoths, bison, or bears, carefully positioned to form a cocoon-like wrap around the body. This wasn't luxury, it was survival engineering. The layers trapped body heat, minimized heat loss to the cold stone below, and offered a barrier against drafts sneaking into the cave. There's also evidence that early humans elevated themselves slightly off the ground. Small shallow pits dug into the cave floor, filled with moss or fur, allowed the cold air to settle below rather than directly under their bodies. Think of it as a primitive version of a camping cot. Every inch of height and every layer added warmth, a subtle but critical difference in freezing conditions. Finally, placement within the bedding mattered. The strongest members, or the ones most accustomed to the cold, often slept on the outer edges, while children, the elderly, or more vulnerable members curled into the center, forming a living barrier that maximized shared warmth. Even without modern science, these humans had discovered a fundamental principle. Heat is best conserved when bodies and materials are arranged thoughtfully. By combining plant bedding, animal furs, and strategic placement, cavemen had created a surprisingly effective sleeping system. A warm, insulated sanctuary carved from the simplest materials their environment provided. Securing the right bedding was only part of the battle. Where you slept within the cave could mean the difference between a warm night and a frozen one. Early humans weren't randomly plopping down anywhere. They observed, experimented, and learned over generations how to position themselves for optimal warmth. The safest and warmest spots were usually deeper inside the cave, away from the entrance where icy drafts could sneak in. But they didn't go too deep. Air circulation was essential. Smoke from fires needed a way to escape, and stagnant air could create damp, unhealthy conditions. By choosing spots with natural ventilation, cavemen ensured they stayed warm without suffocating. Elevation also played a crucial role. As cold air sinks, sleeping slightly raised from the floor helped reduce direct contact with frigid stone surfaces. Early humans sometimes dug shallow depressions in the cave floor and filled them with layers of moss, grass, and furs, creating raised, insulated beds. These subtle adjustments were effective enough that modern survivalists still use similar strategies in extreme conditions. The placement of individuals within a sleeping group was equally strategic. Adults or stronger members often took outer positions to shield the weaker ones in the middle. Children and the elderly were nestled safely inside, benefiting from both body heat and protection from drafts. Even the direction they faced mattered: heads toward the cave wall or fire, feet pointing away from the draft, maximizing retained warmth. By combining natural insulation, elevation, and careful positioning, cavemen transformed a simple cave into a life-sustaining winter haven. It was an early form of thermal engineering, born purely out of observation, trial and error, and an acute understanding of the environment. These strategies weren't just clever, they were the difference between life and death during the harsh Ice Age. Imagine the biting cold outside, icy winds rattling rocks, snow piling high, and darkness stretching endlessly. For a caveman or cavewoman, stepping into a cave without fire would have been terrifying. But the moment that first flame flickered to life, everything changed. Fire wasn't just warmth, it was light, protection, and a psychological shield against the deadly winter night. Early humans quickly understood the power of fire. It allowed them to survive in caves that would otherwise have been freezing tombs. A single controlled hearth could heat a sleeping area for hours, keeping body temperatures from dropping dangerously low. Firelight also extended their days. It provided a sense of security, enabling tasks, storytelling, and social bonding even after the sun had vanished. Placement and maintenance of fire inside the cave were critical. Too close, and it risked burning the furs and bedding. Too far, and it couldn't provide adequate warmth. Cavemen learned to position their hearths strategically, often centrally, so the heat radiated evenly across sleeping areas. Evidence from ancient sites suggests they sometimes built partial stone barriers to reflect warmth toward specific spots, a primitive yet effective method to turn fire into a thermostat. Fire's role extended beyond mere survival. Smoke served as a natural insect repellent, keeping biting pests away from sleeping families. And psychologically, the presence of a flickering flame reduced stress. Humans, even then, understood, instinctively, that warmth and safety were intertwined. A fire burning steadily in the cave wasn't just comfort, it was a lifeline, ensuring that even in the dead of winter, sleep could be deep and restorative. Through fire, early humans didn't merely endure the cold, they controlled it. They learned, adapted, and innovated, creating a balance between heat, safety, and communal living that allowed them to thrive where others would have perished. While fire provided immediate warmth, cavemen discovered a clever way to extend that heat long after the flames died down: heated stones. After the hearth was ablaze, large rocks were carefully placed into the fire, absorbing and storing thermal energy. Once fully heated, these stones were moved closer to the sleeping area, radiating warmth slowly throughout the night. It was a simple yet brilliant innovation, an ancient version of a modern hot water bottle. Imagine lying down on soft furs with a line of these glowing stones nearby. Even as temperatures outside plunged into freezing darkness, the warmth from the rocks seeped through layers of bedding, keeping the body at a survivable temperature. Archaeologists have found evidence of stone arrangements around sleeping areas in several prehistoric sites, suggesting this method was widespread and deliberate. The placement of the stones was strategic. Stones were positioned to maximize heat radiation to the central sleeping area, while ensuring that no accidental contact could burn the occupants. Some groups even experimented with partially surrounding their bedding with stones, forming a semi-enclosed circle that trapped warmth like a miniature oven. Over time, these primitive radiators became an essential part of the caveman's winter survival toolkit. Interestingly, this practice also shows how early humans understood the principles of energy retention and distribution. Without any modern science, they were solving complex thermal problems using observation, trial, and error. By combining heated stones with fur layers, bedding, and careful fire placement, cavemen were effectively engineering their own microclimate, a testament to human ingenuity long before modern technology existed. These glowing stones weren't just tools, they were a symbol of control over the environment. In the dead of winter, with wind howling outside, the subtle heat radiating from the carefully arranged rocks was often the difference between a restless night and life-saving sleep. Beyond fire and heated stones, cavemen relied on another ingenious method to survive freezing nights: huddling together. Humans are social creatures, and early humans instinctively used body heat as a natural heater. Sleeping in close groups allowed warmth to circulate, keeping the cold at bay while also providing a sense of safety. This practice, known as social thermoregulation, was not just about comfort, it was a life-saving adaptation. Children, elders, and weaker members were nestled in the center, shielded by stronger, more resilient adults on the outside. By strategically positioning themselves, they created a living barrier against drafts and the icy cave floor. Each person's body contributed to the collective heat, ensuring that even the most vulnerable survived the harshest nights. Observing this, modern science has noted parallels with huddling behaviors in animals like penguins, where group cohesion directly impacts survival. Sleeping in groups also offered psychological benefits. In an era where predators prowled outside, being surrounded by others reduced stress and anxiety. The simple act of proximity fostered trust, allowing individuals to rest more deeply and recover energy for the day ahead. Evidence suggests that early humans were not only relying on instinct but also developing the foundations of community and social bonds, with nightly gatherings around fire and bedding reinforcing tribal cohesion. Moreover, not everyone slept at the same depth at once. Some members stayed lightly alert, ready to tend the fire, check the cave's perimeter, or respond to threats. This staggered sleep system provided built-in safety while ensuring the group collectively maintained warmth throughout the night. Combined with fire, heated stones, and bedding strategies, social thermoregulation made cavemen far more resilient than solitary humans in freezing environments. By the end of the night, the group had transformed a cold, dark cave into a living furnace, with warmth, security, and social connection woven together. An ancient yet sophisticated survival strategy that modern humans can still learn from today. Even with caves, fire, and social huddling, the prehistoric winter demanded more. Enter animal furs, one of the most essential survival tools of early humans. Cavemen and cavewomen didn't just rely on stones or bedding, they wrapped themselves in thick hides, turning natural animal pelts into both clothing and layered blankets. These furs weren't fashion statements. They were carefully selected, prepared, and strategically used to conserve body heat throughout the bitter nights. The types of furs mattered. Mammoth hides offered dense insulation, while bison and bear furs were prized for their softness and thickness. Cavemen layered these furs over bedding, creating cocoon-like nests that trapped warmth and reduced heat loss to the cold stone floors. Some hides were worn during sleep, while others were draped over multiple family members, forming shared covers that maximized thermal retention. Every fold, overlap, and layer had a purpose. Early humans were deliberate in their approach, mastering a primitive form of thermal engineering. Preparation was equally important. Furs had to be cleaned, dried, and sometimes smoked to prevent parasites or mildew. The process itself shows remarkable observation and problem-solving skills. By understanding how different furs reacted to cold and moisture, cavemen optimized their sleeping arrangements to withstand long, freezing nights. Beyond insulation, furs offered flexibility. In caves with uneven floors, hides could be used to create raised sleeping platforms, fill depressions, or even act as windbreaks near the entrance. The versatility of furs made them indispensable. They were portable, adaptable, and central to the prehistoric winter survival toolkit. By combining furs with bedding, fire, heated stones, and social huddling, early humans created multi-layered defenses against the cold. Their survival wasn't just a matter of brute strength, it was observation, innovation, and strategic use of natural resources, lessons in ingenuity that still resonate today. Surviving bitter winters wasn't just about external insulation. Cavemen also relied on internal heat generation. What they ate played a crucial role in keeping their bodies warm during freezing nights. Fat-rich foods from animals like mammoths, bison, or deer provided slow-burning energy, allowing their bodies to generate heat long after the hunt was over. Unlike modern processed foods, These high-calorie natural meals were perfectly suited for enduring long, cold nights. Early humans likely timed their consumption strategically. A hearty, fatty meal in the evening could fuel metabolism throughout the night, maintaining core body temperature even as icy air seeped into caves. Proteins and fats offered more than just calories. They were a survival tool, transforming food directly into warmth. This instinctive understanding of diet as a form of thermoregulation showcases the early humans' intelligence and adaptability. Energy conservation didn't stop at eating. Prehistoric humans also adjusted their activity levels to preserve warmth. After ensuring the fire was stable and bedding prepared, movement was minimized, keeping energy for essential metabolic heat production rather than unnecessary exertion. Even small actions, like curling into a fetal position while sleeping, reduced exposed surface area, conserving heat. Every behavior, from meal timing to sleep posture, reflected a subtle but sophisticated survival strategy. Interestingly, these dietary and behavioral practices were closely intertwined. Consuming the right foods and combining them with strategic sleeping positions, furs, bedding, and group huddling allowed cavemen to maximize heat retention and survive extreme conditions. Modern science confirms the effectiveness of these methods. High-fat meals and metabolic efficiency remain crucial for staying warm in harsh environments. By internalizing warmth through diet and clever energy management, early humans turned their bodies into natural heaters, demonstrating yet another layer of ingenuity in their winter survival toolkit. Their nights weren't just endured, they were actively engineered for warmth and safety. While caves, furs, fire, heated stones, and high-calorie meals were essential, prehistoric humans also mastered behavioral strategies that enhanced warmth and survival. One such strategy was segmented sleep. Instead of sleeping in one long stretch, early humans likely slept in shorter cycles, waking periodically to tend fires, adjust bedding, or check on the safety of the group. This rhythm ensured that heat was maintained and danger was monitored throughout the night. Pre-sleep rituals further contributed to warmth and comfort. Sharing stories, singing, chanting, or rhythmic drumming before bed wasn't just entertainment. These activities built social bonds, reduced stress, and stabilized breathing. A calm, connected group could sleep more deeply, conserving energy and generating more body heat. The psychological element of warmth was as important as the physical, creating an environment where rest was restorative despite freezing conditions. Observation and problem-solving were also critical. Cavemen adapted constantly, experimenting with bedding arrangements, for placement, fire positioning, and group formations. They learned which combinations of materials, heat sources, and sleeping positions kept the tribe warmest. Every night was an opportunity to refine their survival tactics. Even small adjustments, moving a stone closer to the fire, curling tighter into a group, or layering an extra fur, could mean the difference between life and death. By combining instinct, observation, and community, early humans created a holistic survival system. Warmth wasn't a single solution, it was a network of strategies working together: environmental, dietary, social, and behavioral. They weren't just enduring winter, they were engineering it, turning harsh, freezing nights into manageable, even comfortable, periods of rest. Through these behavioral adaptations, cavemen and cavewomen demonstrated remarkable intelligence and foresight. Every layer of insulation, every huddle, and every ritual reflected an understanding of their environment, laying the groundwork for survival strategies that modern humans can still appreciate today. From caves to furs, from fire to heated stones, and from group huddles to smart behavioral routines, our prehistoric ancestors weren't just surviving the deadliest winters, they were mastering them. Every choice, every strategy, and every small innovation was a testament to human ingenuity, observation, and the drive to protect themselves and their communities. They transformed freezing caves into sanctuaries of warmth, comfort, and safety, laying the foundation for the survival skills we often take for granted today. So next time you curl up under a modern blanket or sip a hot drink by the heater, remember the clever strategies of cavemen and cavewomen who endured far harsher conditions. They didn't have the comforts we enjoy, yet they thrived, teaching us lessons about adaptation, resourcefulness, and the power of human collaboration. Remember, our ancestors' survival strategies weren't just clever, they were brilliant. And by learning from them, we get a glimpse of the incredible ingenuity that defines humanity itself.